Okay. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining today. We're really excited to have this webinar and show you all about our data warehouse modernization in just 15 hours and what that means exactly. If you have questions, please enter them in the Q&A and chat, and we'll get to them at the end. And if we don't get to all your questions, we will definitely follow up with you. So yeah, let's get started. I am Jill Harani. I am your moderator today and business development at Onibex. And I would like to introduce to you our CRO, Mark Tim. Mark brings a lot of experience in revenue strategy and go-to-market leadership, working closely with enterprises that are modernizing their SAP data environment. So take it away, Mark.
Thank you, Jill. I appreciate that. Can everybody see my screen, I hope? So I want to jump right into it. This is actually this is the endpoint. We're gonna show you guys how to get a dashboard of real-time data out of SAP into Databricks or Snowflake or wherever it may be. And I just wanted to highlight that we're going to dive into this, but I just wanted to show you what the endpoint was. Um, Onibex has a 15-hour business value challenge that we're going to be talking about. And it's a no cost, totally free way of actually seeing what we do, right? We're a data company that offers data solutions to interface and connect to SAP. Bring all that rich data that you have in SAP into Confluent, and then once it's in Confluent, you can send it out to wherever it is you need to send it to. I want to start off with saying that we are certified by SAP, verified by SAP, which is very, very important. Um, there were some solutions that were tied into the database that were disallowed. That's not a problem for us because we work at the application layer. Every time something is saved in SAP, we're actually sending that as a push technology out through Confluent to whatever systems you want to interface with. And the way that we do things, it's very important to talk about hyperconnectivity. If you start with a lot of organizations will start with a use case, right, that produces data. In other words, I want to connect one application to another application. And I kind of talk about that as you see the GPS logo down there, right? We talk about hyperconnectivity as like a GPS. I used to have a map, right? And I would ask them, like we used to do this thing called triptych in AAA. I don't know how old you guys are, but they would actually map out like from, how do I get from Ohio to Florida, right? And that's a one case. If I want to go somewhere else, right, I don't have that flexibility, right? It's just from point A to point B. But then we invented GPSs, right? And that's kind of the same thing. Where a GPS is hyper connected, right? So not only do I have various endpoints, but I also have my gas stations and hotels and all this other great information in there, right? And we're doing the same thing with hyperconnecting your infrastructure. So once you get this rich data into Confluent, now I can send that to wherever I need it to be, right? So starting with the data, right, which is what we're helping you do, and enabling that for various use cases is the route that we want to do here. So we used to have a 10-hour POC, and the 10-hour POC was great. We would connect from SAP all the way through Confluent to Databricks or Snowflake or whatever endpoint you're looking for. And we would do that in 10 hours and allow you to query your information, your SAP information. And that was really, really impressive. But there wasn't a lot of business value on top of that, right? Well, that was a 10-hour process, and now we've got a 15-hour process. So that extra 5 hours is the business value that we're adding to this, right? And that's the challenge, right? So it's a way of showing not only are we showing the point-to-point integration, but we're also giving you business value. So at the end of this challenge, you're going to have a dashboard running in your infrastructure, right? Showing you your rich SAP information in real time, right? And nobody else can do that. But we keep your SAP clean because we're not tapping into the database, right? And operational intelligence for everybody. I mean, SAP, you're looking at, I want a report. You've got to talk to engineers. You've got to have somebody customize a report for you. We need to get that information out of SAP into Confluent so that you can use modern technologies like Databricks and Snowflake and things like that, right? And then not only that, but you see point three here. Right now, I want to tie my IoT into it and other things into this hyper-connected governed data that we offer. You can think about this as kind of like our data products is kind of like a supermarket, right? Where you've got different aisles to go down, right? A sales aisle, a production aisle, et cetera. And you can think about our foundational data products as a sales order, right? So we're combining different elements to get to a sales order. And then we're taking those sales orders and using Flink processing to give you an actual business case, right? An inventory situation, for example. So as we go through this virtual supermarket, right, we've got 150, over 150 prepackaged data products. So if you look at like a sales order header, right, that's a VBAC. Nobody understands what a VBAC is unless you're an SAP expert. Basically, it's German, from technology from 1972 that created acronyms, right? A VBAC, VBAP, et cetera. We don't know what those things are. AI doesn't know what those things are, right? But we've already prepackaged all these data products so that you can use them at the foundational level. And then again, combine these different foundational data products into the business data products, right? So we're combining a sales order, purchase order, et cetera, to give you this business value challenge that I'm going to walk you through. So on again, the foundational data products, you can see there, customer order, sales quote, et cetera. We're using Flink scripts that we provide at no cost. All of this is no cost. Our data products, our Flink scripts, and everything the integration services, et cetera. And again, nobody can do this. No one's going to offer you a free proof of concept that's going to include all these data products, and nobody can do it, right? Quite frankly. But at the end of the day, we're going to show you, various data products, accounts receivable visibility, supply demand inventory situation, production monitoring, or sales performance. So we're taking your data ecosystem, right, that you see over here, SAP, Databricks, et cetera, that I've talked about, and we're hyper connecting it, right? And governance as well, right? So it's got integrity, it's traceable, security, et cetera. And we're adding the data products that we have to this again to create the four challenges that we have. And I know I'm repeating these, but I want you to be aware because the way the challenge works is your organization, when we meet with you, you're going to choose which one of these business challenges that you want to take on. And I'm going to walk you through each one of these. And then later on, we're also going to be doing a demo. But again, the four are supply demand inventory, production monitoring, sales performance, and accounts receivable visibility. And this is going to offer you predictive insights, operational intelligence, process automation, and real-time experiences, right? Again, all of this is in real time, which is amazing. So this is an example of supply and demand. Again, you've got your bronze level, right? All of these prepackaged data products. And this is the secret to what we do, right? We're a data company. We've already pre-mapped these things. So that's why it only takes 15 hours to do this because we've got everything ready to go. A sales order has these fields, right? Raw inventory, et cetera. But we're taking this bronze level, and then with Flink scripts, we're taking it to what a sales order is, inventory movement, et cetera, all the way to inventory situation, right? So if you've got sales orders where people are going to, things are going to be going out of inventory, and you've got inventory movement coming from other locations, you've got inventory coming in from production, right? And then you've got purchase orders and stock transfers, right? All of this combined is what's going to give you the inventory situation, and it's going to supply you with this type of dashboard, right? So this is supply and demand example, accounts receivable, and another example here. And this is a great one for your CFO, right? And we have a lot of CFOs that reach out to us and say, hey, I'm struggling getting real-time access to my data. Have to run my business. How do we do this? And that's what we're offering to answer the questions from your CFOs, right? Accounts receivable visibility. Again, this is an example dashboard of that. And then we've got sales performance and an example of that, and production monitoring. So again, the process that we'll work with you on the 15 hours is we'll meet with your organization. It's great if we have your business units there, right? Your CFO, your head of sales, et cetera. to discuss which type of these cases we want to work through. Um, and that's an example of the production monitoring. So when we've got these, as I said, we've got these prepackaged data products, right? Those data products are going to be there's customizations that you guys have done, right? And this is an example of what the screen is going to look like, and that Andrea will be walking you through. But again, you've got the prepackaged information down here, sales org, and et cetera. And then we're going to be customizing those, right? So if you have custom fields, this is a drag and drop low code tool that allows you to make changes to those fields, right? So when you pull this up, you're going to see the different data points that you have, and then you can align those as you want. And Andrew is going to walk you through that as well. As far as how this is rolled out, we've got our data modeler lives in SAP. We're not only are we sending data, but we're sending the metadata as well, right? Which is what makes it special, right? We have our One Connect solution that's going to be on a Kubernetes smart gateway. And that's doing things like creating topics on the fly. So it supports schema evolution, and it does a lot of it does the lion's share of the work, sends that information to Confluent, where, Confluent's your data hub at this point, and you're using Flink, the Flink scripts, again, that we're providing to send it out to Databricks, Snowflake, or wherever it may be, right? All of this is included in our 15-hour challenge. We've got everything, pre-set up for the Kubernetes, et cetera, all automatically ready to go. So it's super straightforward. And we're going to launch into the demo. So Andrea, if you could pull up the demo, I'd appreciate it. And I'm going to stop sharing here.
Yes, of course. Let me go
Thank you
ahead
very much.
and share my screen. Please let me know once you can see my screen.
We see it.
Excellent. Okay, so I have the fun part, which is showing how this works live. And for this, I'm going to showcase two scenarios. The first one is how we send batch data from SAP into Databricks. I'm using Databricks as an example. We are agnostic, as Mark mentioned, so this could be Snowflake, Databricks, whatever destination. And just as reference, the SAP that I'm using is an S4HANA. However, our solution do work in ECC and in S4HANA. So before jumping into the demo, where we're going to see batch data, but also real-time inserts, updates, and deletes, I want to go through our graphical data modeler, because I think this is one of the most interesting parts of our solution. So as Mark mentioned, we have around 150 prepackaged entities. So I'm just going to go ahead and open one of the entities that I have here. Let's go ahead with sales order. That is the exercise that we're going to do today. And I'm just going to show you how this looks. So this is when we talk about the data graphical modeler, and I'm going just to enter here directly. Here we can see the tables that are related to this specific entity that is a sales order. If we want to incorporate a Z table or a CDS views or whatever, it's going to be as easy as just inserting a table. So let's go ahead and see how this works in reality and how simple it is to do this. So the first thing that I want to show you, it's basically, as I told you, how to send batch data. And for this, I'm going to use, as you can see in this dashboard, we don't have basically invoices on 2024. This is a sales dashboard. We have data from 2020 to 2023. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the sales billing entity. I'm going just to execute this. And it's going to be as simple as just selecting the filter that I want to use. In this case, because we want to send a specific dates, I'm just going to send January 1 to the 31 of December. And it's just going to be as simple as just executing this online and running this. Just as an FYI, we can run this in the background, but in this specific case, because it's only 2024, I just run it online. As soon as I save this, we push the data into Databricks, And as you can see here, we can see basically the tables that I'm sending. And I'm just going to go here, and when I refresh, we're going to see how the 2024 data it's basically inserted here. Perfect. Let's see how this looks in a query though. Like if I run the query and I look through the data, one of the things that I want to show you guys is that we are sending also a business friendly name. We're sending like an alias. So you don't see here the Mara, the BBRK, the BB, you see the specific name of the columns. This is because we are able to send, if you want, basically the short description that SAP has. So we send this so it's easier to work with the data that we have in Databricks, Snowflake, or whatever you are working with the data. So let's go ahead and do the next exercise that is my personal favorite, that is the riddle time. And for this, I have a query prepared. In this query, basically, we're looking for sales doc items, basically for the items from a sales order. And right now, I don't have anything, just to make it a little bit more transparent. So let's do a sales order in SAP. The way you do it is in the BA01. And I'm just going to create whatever, something, a test to any customer. The important part here is that I'm going to request two materials, the TG12 and the TG11, and it's going to be 5 pieces for each of these materials. So as soon as I save this, I just created the order 5804 in case it's too small. And I'm going to run the same query that I just ran, and we're going to see how we have here the sales order that I just created in SAP. So as soon as it's created, boom, we push this into Databricks. But what happens if this changes? If I enter again to the sales order, and I enter here, BA02, I enter to the sales order, and we say, hey guys, I actually want to eliminate one of these materials. I'm going to delete the TG11, and I want to update from 5 pieces to 8. So I'm going to go ahead and save. And hey, the same order, the 5804 has been saved. I'm going to go ahead and run the same query. And now we're only going to see one line item, that it's the TG12. And we're going to see the update from 5 to 8 pieces. So this is how we are basically able to do. What I want to show is how easy for us is to do not only inserts, but only updates and deletes. And in that end, I also want to show really quickly, right now, everything is AI, right? So Databricks in particular have an AI that is called Genie. So because we are sending the data and the metadata, for us it's fairly simple to integrate any AI. So because of that, now you're going to be able to start talking with your SAP data basically in a very quick, in 15 hours, you could be able to start speaking with your data in different AIs. So in this example, for example, I'm asking, hey, give me a total net value for the invoices of 2023 and 2024. And Genie is responding not only with the data, but also providing a graphic regarding this information. So I'm going to stop here because I know that we heard a lot of concepts here, and just to see if I think there's some questions, Jill, if you want to help us navigate this.
Yes, yeah. There's a question. The solution is cloud or hybrid, and the SAP apps data sources can be on-prem or cloud.
Give me a second so I can see them.
So, Mark, I'll go ahead and take this one. The short answer is yes. The Onibex One Connect solution is both. We provide both a cloud offering as well as an on-premise offering. So even if your SAP applications are on-premise or in the cloud, it will not matter. We can connect in either case. So, and there's no difference in the offering. So we have customers that we typically push more for the cloud approach, but we do have customers that have hard and fast requirements to have the solution on premise, and we supply both offerings. They're exactly the same, so there's no difference in capability or functionality there.
And is Databricks the only default data repository?
No, actually, from that standpoint, the OneConnect solution supports a number of different data intelligence solutions. So Databricks is one, Snowflake is another. If you're using Microsoft Azure, we support that as well. AWS and Redshift is supported also. And it's not just what we're showing here is the data intelligence solution side. We also integrate in real time with applications and in a bi-directional approach. So, and I apologize, I didn't have video going here. So from the standpoint of if you're using, for instance, a Salesforce.com application, you may be handling your customer prospects in Salesforce.com, and when those prospects become true customers, that can be integrated into SAP in real time. And then as orders come into SAP, as an example, those orders would be pushed out in real time to Salesforce as well. So it's not just data intelligence solutions; it's also other real-time applications. Especially when you start thinking of inventory and things like that. Inventory is especially real-time inventory is needed for things like your e-commerce solutions and things like that.
And just to continue that question, it depends on the customer's infrastructure.
Well, I wouldn't say it depends on the infrastructure. It depends on the strategy that our customers use. Some customers, we've got some, pharmaceutical customers and or life science customers that they don't want their data going out to a SaaS solution. So they may, in their case, and in some cases they'll say, okay, we'd like to have the OneConnect solution on premise, and the connectivity is all secure connections within a company's VPN, and even going out to solutions like Databricks and Snowflake and so on.
Great. Thank you, Steve. I have a question that has come to me here. It says, I was using another product and SAP shut down access to SAP database. Why does your solution still work?
Yeah, I'll take that one. Again, SAP, there were organizations tapping into the database, right? Which SAP disallowed. They were using ODP. We've never used that protocol, right? We're actually at the application layer, and we're using RFC, which is the same protocol used by like banks and other organizations, right? So it's completely safe. It's not going to be shut down because, quite frankly, they wouldn't shut down access from banks, right? So again, we're pushing from the application layer versus a lot of other solutions. We're pulling the database, so it's very, very safe and
Great.
straightforward.
Thank you. Another question, do you support SAP Rise?
Yep, I think Steve went through that a little bit, right? Steve, do you want to go through some of the points there? You're on mute, but yes, we support Rise. We support Bring Your Own Cloud. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, no, you've got it. So we support SAP Rise. Any of the really the only solution that is not supported is like the SAP Business One solution. It's if you're on ECC, if you're on S4, as well as the Halo systems like SAP's EWM and MDG, we support those solutions as well.
Great. The question that I always love, how much does it cost? How much is one connect?
Yeah, it's actually incredibly reasonable. So we actually charge based on the size of the SAP database itself. There's different components of our solution, but on the connector on the SAP side, it's $40,000 a year for the largest instance of 5 TB or more, down to $27,000. So it's incredibly reasonable. We also do have a charge for connectors that's very reasonable. And I like to say about we have a maximum charge, right? Just so that you know you're going to be under that. But the maximum charge for a connector is another $50,000 a year. So the solution end to end is under $100,000 yearly. Compare that to a million, multi-million dollar solution from Datasphere or something like that.
Great. Another one here. Do you bring data changes at the table level or at the object level?
You're on mute, Steve.
We do actually both. So we have the option to send objects. So if you know, as an example, if you think of a sales order that has multiple tables underneath it, and Mark somewhat showed that when we displayed the business value challenges. If you send, for instance, a sales order, you've got headers, you've got line items, you've got schedule lines, you've got also ancillary data that's tied into, for instance, the customer master and material master. That's the object, or we call it the document level. So we can send data out that way, but we also support individual table level as well. So if you're looking to get just material basic data, for instance, out, or a table by table, you can send that information as well. One of the key items that I would bring up with that is we also provide filtering and the ability with our data models to limit how much data that you're going to send out to your target solutions. So one of the big complaints we got from some customers is that we're getting entire tables out from SAP, and we only need, instead of these 200 fields, we only need about 25 or 30. And that's one of the key areas where our solution allows you to model only the columns you need, and we're very flexible. It could be standard SAP fields, it could be custom fields and custom tables that go out to your data intelligence solutions, so you're not having to whittle all that data and information down once it's in your solution, like Databricks or Snowflake and so on.
Okay, great. Here's another question. If SAP is on-prem but Snowflake is in the cloud, how do you securely transport that data?
I'm sorry, can you cover that one more time?
Sorry. If SAP is on-prem but Snowflake, say, is in the cloud, how do you securely transport that data?
Yeah, so basically we have a part of our solution is we call it the Smart Gateway. So that Smart Gateway is a lightweight item that basically handles the communication. So that we basically publish that data in an encrypted channel with encrypted channels and private networking not only into Kafka and Confluent, but also we use the managed connectors from solutions like Snowflake to do the secure and scalable ingestion of data and utilizing those patterns.
Great. I think we'll just take one more here. Does OneConnect work differently with ECC versus S4? Are there any limitations?
Yeah, there's no limitations from the standpoint of whether you're using ECC or S4. Probably the main thing I would tell you is the core for OneConnect is the same, but as those folks who are on SAP ECC and have gone to migrated or upgraded to S4, there's a couple of differences there. One is that in S4, some of the table structures have changed, and we cover for that. The other thing is SAP is pushing more for going from tables and views in ECC to utilizing more CDS views. In fact, they're pushing much harder to utilize CDS views in S4. We cover for that. So there are some differences on the SAP side, but OneConnect adapts to those. Not only adapts to those, but they adapt to them automatically.
Okay.
In fact, we have some customers that actually have both environments, right? As
Yeah.
they're migrating from ECC to S4. So we're somewhat used to seeing that.
Okay. So a couple of more have popped in that are really good. If the POC challenge is set up in 15 hours, how long is an implementation of one use case?
So an individual use case itself, and I'm just checking the chat here. Yeah, so the use case itself is really dependent on your release strategy within an SAP environment. So the POC is basically you're setting up end to end. So you're not only setting up the OneConnect platform, but also the solution. So to be able to take that from your, usually a POC is done in either a test or a sandbox environment. Then you migrate it through your environment. So you may want to set it up if you have it in a sandbox. Typically, you have to reset that up in a dev environment, and then from there you'll do your unit testing, move things up to QA, and then you may do your quality assurance, integration, test cycles, and things like that, and then up to production from there. We're very flexible from the standpoint of supporting that. But I've got customers that have monthly and quarterly release strategies. I've got some who can move things in a matter of days. So to come back to the original question, how long is an implementation of one use case? That can be as quick as 1 week, right? But it maybe even faster depending on how the how the customer is set up and how aggressive they are.
Great. Can you talk more about the backend architecture? Is it stored in a database as cache before it's sent to Databricks or Snowflake, etc.? How do you ensure that the data between source and target is always in sync?
So there's a couple of things there, right? So the storing of data is, if you can imagine, the beauty of OneConnect is that the data is pushed from the source. In other words, it's pushed from your S4 or your ECC system. It's pushed out to OneConnect, where in real time we basically set the data, put the data in a way that can be consumed by Confluent. And once in Confluent, that data is stored, but only for a limited period of time to get the data out to the target systems. So it's not like you're replicating an entire set of data and it's now sitting in a separate database. This is truly in motion, meaning the data is moving from SAP out to the target systems. Now there is a storage there, and it's basically Kafka that is that Kafka platform that's storing the data, but only from a perspective of sending it out. And usually there are time limits for that data as well. That data then is purged from Kafka, but that's also configurable as well. Ensuring the data between the source and target. Yeah, there's a couple of ways that we do that. I mean, there's obviously from the SAP side, there's we're utilizing the logging functionality at a very basic level, if you want to think of it that way, to get the data in real time. The events that as they get triggered. So the second somebody hits save on a sales order or on a production order or and such, this as the save happens, an event gets raised. That's standard SAP. That event triggers OneConnect to push the data out. Now the data is going out into OneConnect and into Confluent, and from there it gets pushed out to Databricks, right? The other systems that are subscribing. Now, ensuring the data between those, so we have error handling protocols that exist not only in OneConnect but also in Confluent that handles, I think there are dead letter patterns and things like that. And then we have logging that tracks the data going out to your data intelligence solution. Now, there's also a third area that to think about there is logging in end to end. And so one of the things as OneConnect and Onibex that we provide is the capability to integrate with Datadog and other monitoring solutions that allow you to track your environments, in real time end to end.
Great. And then question, is this deployed in production environment?
So the short answer is yes, but it's a very how do I explain this? It's typical that it goes via your normal SAP ecosystem or your environment, right? So typically you would deploy in dev. You're gonna have transports from an SAP perspective, and for the non-SAP folks on the phone, those are like packages that are tracked very well within SAP. Those transports would be deployed up to QA, and then once the proper approvals and things like that come into play, then they can be deployed into production. From a smart gateway perspective, there's a couple of approaches there. We have a production gateway, and with some customers, we'll deploy a non-prod environment as well. So that kind of ties into some customers will eventually ask, oh, hey, can we get a dev environment as well as a QA and production? That's not typical from the smart gateway perspective, but we do understand that is typical from the SAP environment.
And another question, can you exploit and analyze data from different data analytics platforms?
From different analytics platforms. So the short answer is yes, but I think the way I would build the picture a little bit differently here. So when you say, can you exploit and analyze that data? It's not that you would exploit them from the different data analytics platforms. They would be exploited and analyzed in the different data analytics platforms. So in other words, as the data comes out of SAP, and we have some customers that have both Snowflake and Databricks, as well as utilizing Microsoft SQL Server databases. So the beauty of OneConnect is, as you have as you saw Andrea's real-time example there in the demo, as you have that message coming out, it can go to all 10 different target locations in real time and at the same time. Therefore, if you have certain analytics happening in Snowflake and other analytics happening, let's say in a Databricks environment, and a third set of analytics that are happening in your, let's say, a Microsoft SQL Server database that a business unit is using, they'll all three get updated in real time at the same time. And from that perspective, yes, you can then exploit and analyze that data accordingly. Hopefully that answers the question.
Excellent. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you all for joining, and we really appreciate you taking time with us. As Mark said earlier, if this sparked any interest and you want to work with us, what we do is a short call to understand your immediate needs and align with our 4 business value challenges that make sense for your organization. And we would love to have a conversation. Our contact information is on the screen. And thank you so much, everybody. Take care and happy holidays.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.